Since I've started this channel, my goal was always to make content that stands out from the rest. Normally, on the football side of YouTube, we just see content about the Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, and Liga. For me, it gets boring after a while. Today, we'll make things a little bit more interesting for those of you who watch other European leagues. And maybe, in the near future, if this video does well, I'll expand this list to all the leagues in the world. Before we start, let me just warn you. This list will feature many remote leagues that you can barely get info from, so I had to rely only on stats for some of them. Secondly, when I say every league in Europe, I mean all the top divisions from countries who are a part of UEFA. And the most important thing, this is my opinion. I try to be as objective as possible, but in the end, if you disagree with me, it's okay, just let me know who you choose differently. So, without further ado, here's Trons FC best player from every league in Europe. Albania, Redon Gjigja. Capable of playing as a left winger and as a striker just as efficiently, Gjigja is currently the top goal scorer in the Categoria Superiore and KF Tirana's biggest hope to surpass Partizani Tirana and win this year's league. He recently debuted in the Albanian national team, but he is yet to score a goal. Honorable mention goes to Julianus Kuka from Partizani. Andorra, Mark Reves. A solid defensive midfielder who can also play in other defensive roles, Reves has to be my pick. He is one of the most consistent players in the Andorran league and currently playing his football at FC Santa Coloma. He has already been called up for the national team for 52 times, scoring 3 goals. Honorable mentions to Aridai Cabrera and Gerard Artigas, both from Inter das Caldas. Armenia, Maílson Lima. Currently playing in Arat Armenia, this left midfielder is one of the most influential players in the league for the past couple of seasons, contributing with 41 goals and 30 assists in 130 matches. Although he has been a little bit worse this season, I feel that he's still above all the other players. Honorable mentions to Ovanes Arutiunian from Punic Yerevan and Homersiu from Arat Armenia. Austria, Noah Okafor. The best player in this list so far, Okafor has a bright future ahead of him. Currently playing at Salzburg, Okafor has been on fire this season, averaging a goal contribution every 68 minutes. Chelsea, Milan, Dortmund and many other clubs are already trying to sign him. He's also a Swiss international who played in this year's World Cup, however, he didn't score a goal. Honorable mentions to Omar Sule, Nicolas Seiwald and Benjamin Sesko, all currently playing at Salzburg. Azerbaijan, Emin Mahmudov. Mahmudov is an experienced central midfielder who has already played in Portugal and Russia. He is also capped by Azerbaijan 37 times, scoring 9 times. Currently playing at Netchi, this season alone he has 10 goals and 4 assists in 18 matches. Honorable mentions to Kadi Borj and Hamil Sheidayev, both playing for Karabakh. Belarus, Bobur Abdikolikov. Abdikolikov is an Uzbekistan international who completely dominated the Vysheshaya Liga this year. The center forward scored 26 goals and contributed to 66% of energetic PGU goals this season, which culminated in a historic second place for his side. Honorable mentions to Jakov Filipovic and Valery Grobiko, both playing for Bate Borisov. Belgium, Andreas Skov Olsen. An offensively minded winger, Olsen predominantly plays off the right-hand side of an offensive front three, where he can cut onto his stronger left foot and release a shot on goal. This season, he has contributed with 10 goals and 4 assists in 28 matches for Club Brugge. He was also in Denmark's World Cup squad, but sadly, he didn't have much of an impact in Qatar. Honorable mentions to Daniel Munoz and Mike Trezor, both playing for Genk. Bosnia and Herzegovina, Nemanja Bilbia. A veteran physical striker, Bilbia has been scoring goals for fun in the Bosnian league for a while. The Zrinjski Mostar captain has scored 10 times in 70 matches in the Premier Liga. Due to his consistency, he has to be number 1. Honorable mention to Andrei Djokanovic from FK Sarajevo. Bulgaria, Kirill Deshpodov. Deshpodov is without a doubt Bulgaria's current biggest star. Capable of playing as a winger and as a second striker, he already has experiences in the top divisions of Austria and Italy. This season, Kirill has participated in 32 matches, scoring 13 goals and 7 assists. Honorable mentions to Daniel Naumov from CSK 1948 and Bernard Tekpete from Ludogorets Razgrad. Croatia, Mislav Orsic. The toughest choice in this list so far, as I was really divided between Orsic and Livaja. Livaja is playing for Hajduk Split, which is individually a weaker side than Dinamo Zagreb, and in putting things in a simple way, he kind of carries them. I mean, he has a direct influence in over 50% of Hajduk's goal. However, Orsic definitely played against harder opponents in the Champions League and in the World Cup, where he definitely delivered. He's a very talented winger that would be, in my opinion, a perfect fit to a big team in the Bundesliga. Honorable mentions, obviously, to Marko Livaja from Hajduk Split and Dominik Livakovic from Dinamo Zagreb. Cyprus, Alexandre Kokorin. This one is tricky. Cyprus has many Brazilian players who broke out from the Brasileirão but couldn't quite make it in the big European teams, and also players who were big prospects in the last decade but didn't quite fulfill their potential completely. Kokorin is probably the most successful out of them. The Russian striker was sold for almost 20 million euros, not only one but 2 times in the same summer, but that's something that I shall leave to another video. He's currently loaned to Aris Limassol and will return to Fiorentina by the end of the season. So far, he has scored 5 goals in 11 matches. Honorable mentions to Luazu from Omonia, Jair from Pafos, and Marquinhos from Apoel. Czech Republic, Jan Kuchta. I have a lot of respect for Czech Republic. When I started watching football, Czechia had a very good national team that was on the level of France, Germany, and Portugal, just to name a few. However, after the golden generation went away, they never seemed to reach that same level again. Unfortunately, in the Fortuna Liga, things aren't too much better either. Nobody really stands out from the average, but I'm going to choose Kuchta as the best player. A good striker capable of being a winger, who has already played 12 times for the Czech Republic. He currently plays for Sparta Prague. Honorable mentions to Stanislav Tesla from Slavia Prague and Ladislav Krejci from Sparta. Denmark, Andreas Schjelderup. This young winger is one of the most talented youngsters in Europe right now. The Norwegian has already scored 10 goals in 70 matches for Nordsjælland, and Benfica and Milan are trying their hardest to guarantee Schjelderup's services in this winter transfer season. Honorable mentions to Evander, who is now departing to play in the MLS, and Daniel Vaz from Brøndby. England, Erling Haaland. Although we're full of options to choose from in the Premier League, to me, it's quite an easy decision to make. Haaland impacted the Premier League with his arrival and completely lived up to the hype so far, scoring 30 goals in 25 matches this season alone. If he keeps this rhythm up, he could finish with record numbers by the time the season ends. Honorable mentions have to go to the man who assists most of Haaland's goals, Kevin De Bruyne, Mo Salah from Liverpool, and Harry Kane from Tottenham Hotspur. Estonia, Alex Tam. The centre forward is the most promising star in the Estonian Premier League. He currently plays for Kalju FC and has scored 12 goals in 27 matches. Let's see if he can evolve and leave for bigger flights. Honorable mentions to Rauno Aliku from Flora Tallinn and Zakaria Beglarishvili from Levadia. Faroe Islands, Solvi Vetnamar. Capped 62 times by the Faroe Islands, Solvi has been playing for Vikingur Gotha since the club was founded in 2008. This season alone, he scored 20 goals in 26 league matches. Honorable mention, Patrick da Silva from KI Klaksvik. Finland, Team Vairinen. Team was actually my third pick for the finish. Well, third or fourth pick because I couldn't decide between him and Petteri Pennanen. The first 2 players that I thought about were Lee Irwin and Rui Modeste, and both of them are already leaving for other clubs. Pennanen is a very competent central midfielder who is also a very capable goalscorer. However, Vairinen international experience, decent goalscoring ability, and German pedigree, he has actually played for Dortmund's second team, slightly edges him to be, in my opinion, the current best player in the league. France, Lionel Messi. If it wasn't for Mbappe and to some extent Neymar, I wouldn't even waste time elaborating on this one. Last season, Messi was a shadow of himself, and had his list been made a year ago, La Pulga would definitely not top it. This season, however, it's a different story. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, my criteria is a mix of personal opinion, player ability, and form on the league. So, if we're talking only about performance in Ligue 1, I would have to choose Neymar. The Brazilian has scored 11 goals and contributed with 9 assists in 14 matches. Considering playing abilities, it has to be Messi. Mbappe was the main man in an injury-ridden France and almost won the final by himself, but almost doesn't count. Messi, at the age of 35, proved that he's still on top of his game, and I can definitely see him having an even stronger second part of the season. He's the best player in the world right now, and consequently, the best player in Liga. Georgia, Anzor Mekvabishvili. Georgia has been improving in terms of players' quality in the past few years. However, most of Georgia's national team members play outside their country. One of the few exceptions is Mekvabishvili, a young defensive midfielder currently at Dinamo Tbilisi. He's played in 37 matches this season, 4 of them for the Georgia's national team, where he contributed with 1 assist. Honorable mentions to Yemal Tabidze, also from Dinamo Tbilisi, and Flammarion from Dinamo Batumi. Germany, Joshua Kimmich. Oh boy, this one was tough. From Mane to Nkunku, Musiala to Bellingham, the talent in this country is immense. Any of the 4 players that I mentioned would be valid answers, but I must choose Kimmich. He is, in my opinion, the most complete footballer in the world right now. And yes, I am aware that some of you might know a guy that plays in every position in Sunday League football, but Kimmich is the most complete and overall better package. Through being able to cover both fullbacks and wide forwards, even if him doing so towards the right is more common, Kimmich essentially epitomizes what is required to excel in a double pivot at the very highest level. Gibraltar, Liam Walker. Walker is a veteran of the game. He's 34 and counts 67 matches for Gibraltar. He usually plays as a number 10 for Lincoln Red Imps and forms a little trio alongside Kike Gomes and Juanfrey. Greece, James Rodriguez. Despite his fall from grace, he still is the best player in the Greek league. Once considered one of the best young players in the world, scoring one of the best World Cup goals of all time, James is still a very versatile player who can play in various positions across the midfield and front line. His technical skills, vision, and ability to create chances for teammates are still there despite his average numbers, with 3 goal contributions in 9 matches. Honorable mentions to Diadie Samasekou from Olympiacos and Aitor Cantalapiedra from Panathinaikos. Hungary, Aissa Laiduni. Laiduni was one of the best Tunisian players in their respectful campaign in this year's World Cup. Currently playing at Ferencváros, Laiduni is a good passer of the ball and the heart of his team this season. I expect him to keep performing well until the end of the season, then maybe leave for higher flight. Honorable mentions to Adama Traoré and Raya Mamae, both from Ferencváros. Iceland, Yasin Dadi Svanþórsson. Another case in which the best players in the league are leaving in January, and in order to keep this list updated for as long as possible, I choose Svanþórsson. This young Icelandic international usually plays as a winger, mostly on the right wing, and this season added 14 goals and 8 assists to Breiðablik in 37 matches. Honorable mention to Gunglausen, also from Breiðablik. Israel, Omer Atzili. A prolific winger, Atzili had been the MVP of Ligat Ha'al this season, scoring 10 times and assisting 7 in only 15 matches for Maccabi Haifa. It is to note that he is an Israeli international and scored 2 goals against UV this season. Honorable mentions to the biggest prospect in the league, Oskar Gluk from Maccabi Tel Aviv. Lithuania, Francis Kiereme. Once again, the best player in the league is departing, so I'm forced to go with my second option. Kiereme is a Ghanaian right midfielder and one of the most influential players for Zalgiris Vilnius, contributing to 1/3 of his team's goals. Honorable mention to Vilius Armanavicius from Egelman. Luxembourg, David Sinani. Sinani is a Luxembourgish classic number 10 who currently plays at F91 Dudelange. He's very attack-minded and this season has scored 9 times and assisted 8 in 12 matches. He has had even more impressive records in the last few years, so due to his consistency, he's number 1 here. Honorable mention to Ryan Philip from Esperance. Malta, Matthew Guillaumier. Guillaumier is a 24-year-old Maltese defensive midfielder who can also be very active in his team's attacks, with 8 goals and 4 assists this season. Currently playing for Amrun Spartans, he's already been capped for Malta 24 times, receiving his first call-up at the age of 20. Honorable mentions to Jefferson from Gira United and De Gabriel from Hibernians. Moldova, Gabi Kiki. When most people think about Moldovan teams, I assume the first thing that comes to their mind is that Sheriff Tiraspol historic triumph over Real Madrid in plain Santiago Bernabeu. And that's pretty much all there is to say about the Moldovan league. It's basically Sheriff toying with everyone else for the past decade. Anyways, my pick for the current best player is Gabi Kiki. A good header of the ball, strong and composed, Kiki has been fundamental in Sheriff's great defense, suffering only 4 goals in the 10 matches he's played. Honorable mention to Rashid Akambi, also from Sheriff. Montenegro, Tyrone Conrad. Conrad is a 25-year-old striker from the Netherlands who, out of the average, stands out the most. Conrad has scored 12 goals in 17 matches this season. Honorable mention to Novika Rakovic from Sutjeska Nikšić. Netherlands, Jurien Timber. Well, I think you know what would be my first choice on this one. But on the contrary to other nations, the Eredivisie still has many talents to offer, and I was really divided between 3 Ajax players: Timber, Bergwijn and Kudus. All those players did well on the World Cup stage, and I doubt they'll stay in Netherlands for too long. However, I feel that Timber has the biggest potential out of the 3. Timber has good off-the-ball movement, whether it be making runs into the penalty area from infield or overlapping the winger on the right-hand side. He very rarely remains still, always keen to offer an attacking outlet for his teammates, and despite still only being 21, he shows a lot of maturity, appearing like a natural leader. North Macedonia, Ljupko Dorjev. A complete forward who mainly plays as a winger, but can also be a second striker, Dorjev has been the main figure in Skandia. He's also a North Macedonian international, having played for his country 6 times. Honorable mention to Freddy Alvarez from FC Skopje. Northern Ireland, Paul O'Neill. It's because of leagues like the Northern Irish that I took more than 10 hours just researching. Nobody really stands out in this league, so I'm going to choose the man who contributed with more goals this season. A total 10 plus 4 assists in 20 matches so far. He's also a current under-21 international for Northern Ireland. Norway, Ugo Vetlesen. A talented midfielder who has been a constant presence in the Norwegian top flight since he was 17, the now 22-year-old has finally established himself as the best player in the Elite Syrian. This season, he scored 19 goals, including a goal against AS Roma, and assisted 18 times. He currently plays for Bodo Glimt. Honorable mention to the departing Fofana, who played for Molde before leaving to play at Stamford Bridge, and Sivert Mansverk, also from Molde. Poland, Josué. A veteran of the game who has played in many different countries, and for a single season, he was even an important player for FC Porto and Portugal. Portugal. Despite being over 30, he's still performing well in the Ekstraklasa with 7 goal contributions in 16 matches. Honorable mentions to Lukasz Podolski from Górnik Zabrze and Michal Skoras from Lech Poznan. Portugal, Enzo Fernandes. The best young player in the World Cup and the most important player in the impressive and so far unbeaten Benfica season. Despite Portugal having a lot of talents in the league, it's impossible to argue against this midfielder who could leave this winter season for a whopping 120 million euros. Honorable mention to Diogo Costa and Otávio, both from FC Porto. Republic of Ireland, Jack Byrne. A former prospect from the Man City Academy, Byrne is by far the best player in the League of Ireland. Already capped by Ireland, the central midfielder assisted 13 times in 29 league matches this season. Honorable mentions to Danny Rogers from St. Patrick's Athletic and Mark Connolly from Derry City. Romania. Darius Olaru. A decent central midfielder who can also play in more attacking positions, Olaru is the FCSP captain and a Romanian international. Despite having less influence in his team this year, I still believe he's one of the most talented in the Superliga. Honorable mention to Andrea Compagno and Octavian Popescu, both from FCSB. Russia, Quincy Haaland. I'm not sure the Russian Premier League will be a part of UEFA for too long, as the Russian Football Federation is suspended from international competitions and could be added to the AFC. However, at the time of this recording, they're still a part of UEFA, so I'll consider them in this list. Quincy Haaland is a pacey and fun to watch winger who can also score lots of goals, 14 in 16 matches so far in the Russian league. Honorable mentions to Wendell and Malcolm, both from Zenit St. Petersburg. San Marino, Elia Benedettini. I was always taught that if I didn't have anything good to say, it would be better to keep my mouth shut. So no, I'm not gonna roast San Marino. I remember reading somewhere that Benedettini was actually a prospect back in the day when he was at Cesena, but an injury derailed him and he didn't live up to his potential. However, if you ever watch a San Marino game, you know they suffer a lot of goals, but without Benedettini, I feel like the defeats would be even worse. Scotland, Jota. Another Portuguese Jota, letting this player go has to be one of the biggest Benfica errors. With 11 goal contributions this season, the winger has been fulcral to Celtic's brilliant campaign. Honorable mention to Ryan Kent from Rangers. Serbia, Aleksandar Dragovic. One of the most experienced players in this list, Dragovic played at the highest level in the Premier League and the Bundesliga, while also dominating the Austrian, Swiss, Ukrainian and now the Serbian league. He only suffered 7 goals in 18 matches for Red Star Belgrade in the Superliga and is rumored to leave for Sevilla. Honorable mention to Strajina Erakovic, also from Red Star Belgrade. Slovakia, Vladimir Weiss Jr. Weiss is the main reason behind Slovan Bratislav's success this season. He improved his team with his arrival, not only in terms of results, as they're now first in the league and still active in all fronts, including the Conference League, but also in terms of playstyle. Weiss has experience at the highest level, playing in Italy, England and Spain, and representing Slovakia 74 times, scoring 7 goals, including a presence in the 2010 World Cup. Honorable mention to Nikola Kristovic from Dunajska Streda. Slovenia, Marko Tolic. Tolic is a Dinamo Zagreb player loaned to NK Maribor. With 14 goal contributions, he's been the saving grace in an uninspired Maribor season, where they sit 4th in the league table. Honorable mention to Svit Seslar from Olimpia Ljubljana. Spain, Robert Lewandowski. One of the best pure strikers of the last decade, Leva is still on top of his game despite Barcelona failing to achieve the form we've grown accustomed to see from them. This season, he scored 21 goals in 28 matches and sits comfortably at the top of La Liga's top goalscorer list. Honorable mentions to Luka Modric, Benzema and Courtois, all from Real Madrid. Sweden, Alexander Djemajev. The striker from Aachen really blossomed in the Allsvenskan, leading his team to a historic league title and finished as a top goalscorer in the process with 22 goals in 27 matches. Honorable mentions Denis Adzika Dunic from Malmo and Arnold Sigurdsson from Norrköping. Switzerland, Max Meyer. Meyer is a player with great vision who can pass the ball in ways that unlock the game. Despite all of that, the German international had quite the fall from grace. From being one of the most wanted players in Europe to flopping at Crystal Palace, Meyer is now bouncing back in the Swiss league, being one of the most important players in FC Luzern's squad. Honorable mentions Fabian Heider from Young Boys and Lukas Gortler from FC St. Gallen. Turkey, Sergio Oliveira. The Turkish league is full of players who in their prime were top stars in the biggest leagues and clubs. Icardi, Özil, Mata, just to name a few. However, none of these players are at the moment better than Sergio. A quality central midfielder who builds play from the back and is also a set-piece specialist, Sergio has been the key to Galatasaray's current first-place position in the league. He also has experience playing for FC Porto, Roma and the Portuguese national team. Honorable mention to Ener Valencia from Fenerbahce. Ukraine, Mikhailo Mudryk. Due to reasons outside football, the Ukrainian league lost many players that would otherwise turn this selection into something more difficult for me to choose. As of right now, Mikhail Mudryk is not only the best player in the Ukrainian league, but also one of the hottest commodities in football. A pacey winger capable of being a competent goalscorer, he is most likely going to leave soon, with Arsenal being in pole position to buy him from Shakhtar Donetsk. Honorable mention, Viktor Tsigankov from Dynamo Kiev and Artem Dovbyk from SK Dnipro. Wales, Ryan Brobel. The best Welsh teams don't play in the Welsh League, so obviously the selection is going to be more limited. I chose Ryan Brobel from the New Saints as he's been one of their most important pieces, usually playing as a classic number 10 and providing many assists. This season, he amassed a total of 20 goal contributions in 23 matches. Honorable mention, Aaron Williams from Newtown FC and Declan McManus from the New Saints. And we're done. 50 leagues and 20 plus hours of work later, the video is finally complete. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. It is definitely the hardest video that I ever made, and if you found it impressive, please leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. I intend to release more videos like this, eventually expanding to all the leagues in the world, where you'll discover the hidden gems of Nepal and Madagascar, just to name a few. So if this video reaches 50 likes, I'll release the best player in every league in South America. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.